On the news, President Buhari says Nigeria is fertile ground for foreign investment. National identification number key to Nigeria's security, federal government insists. And police arrest 14 in connection with siege on Justice Mary Odili's home. We're glad to have you join us for News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. President Muhammadu Buhari has clarified major misconceptions on Nigeria's economic standing, struggle against insecurity and emerging markets. President Buhari made the call while delivering his keynote speech at the Nigeria International Partnership Forum in Paris. He said in light of the country's post-COVID-19 economic growth, Nigeria is the best destination of sub-Saharan Africa for investment. Our details in this report. With increasing threats to global peace, calls for intercontinental cooperation among countries have become more vocal than ever. To this end, President Muhammadu Buhari is meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron to discuss ways to strengthen economic ties and improve partnership on security. At the Nigeria International Partnership Forum in Paris, President Buhari explained that while the economy has been revitalized, implementing multi-sectoral strategy in national security has helped the fight against insurgency.
Recognizing the importance of security to our nation's risk profile, we reassessed and updated our national security strategy in 2019. The implementation of this multi-sectoral strategy has contributed to the progress we have made in fighting insurgents and terrorists in northeast of the country. Working closely with international partners, we are firmly addressing the root causes of crimes and taking measures to prevent and counter violent extremism.
While calling for foreign investment into the country, President Buhari said major sectors of the economy have been repositioned as a good investment ground for foreign partners.
In the oil and gas sector, I recently signed the Petroleum Industry Act. The legislation, which is expected to serve as a liberalizing force in the industry, introduces incentives such as tax holidays, zero-interest loans, and easy repatriation of profits. Our plan is to increase liquefied natural gas exports and expand our domestic market.
On his part, the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said partnership between France and Nigeria is key to Nigeria's economic and security collaboration with French-speaking parts of Africa.
Or the maritime security in the Delta area. And we are being neighbored. We are closeted by French-speaking countries. So we need to come close to them, and whatever dividing walls that are between ourselves and them, those walls need to be dissolved.
Issues on taxation and import duties have been some of the major concerns of many foreign investors. French Minister of Foreign Trade and Economic Attractiveness, Frank Resta, says for Nigeria to create an enabling business environment, these problems must be addressed. Folashade Ogurinde, TV360 News. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved the National Development Plan for 2021 to 2025 to succeed the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which expires on December 2020. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made this known while briefing State House correspondents after the virtual FEC meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. She said the NDP was structured to foster development and economic growth, adding that the plan is projected to have an investment size of 348.7 trillion naira over the 5-year period.
This National Development Plan, we call it the NDP for short, is structured around 6 clusters, and these clusters include economic growth and development, infrastructure, public administration, human capital development, social development, and regional development. Let me also say that the plan is underpinned by a macroeconomic framework which projects an average real GDP growth of 5% per annum over the growth, 5% over the plan period. And also the plan has been costed to have an investment size of 348.7 trillion over the 5-year period.
During the weekly meeting, the Council also approved 3 contracts for the procurement of equipment for cancer management at the Federal Medical Center, Katsina, and Usman Danfodio University in Sokoto.
Memo from Federal Medical Center, Katsina, for an oncology and radiotherapy center to be able to handle cancer cases. The second memo was for re-equipping Usman Danfodio University, which is one of our centers of excellence for managing cancer also. The equipment are old and broken down. The most important one with the linear accelerator, which is going to be replaced, and the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging machine, which will also be replaced.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has called on the removal of the Nigeria Police Force from the envelope budgetary regime to enable the force function optimally. The IGP said this during the budget defense of the Nigeria Police Force in Abuja before the joint session of the Senate and House Committee on Police. He also made demands for adequate funding of the newly established Special Operations Account of the force. Aniete Patrick completes the story.
The year 2022 budget proposal seemed to be channeled towards insufficient funds to run the various MDAs as agencies have raised concerns from the 2021 budget defense. The police boss spelled out the 2022 Nigerian police budget estimates. He also highlighted the 3 main goals, namely to utilize the budgetary instrument towards advancing the modernization in the reform agenda of the police, among others. IGP Usman Alkali appealed to approve a self-accounting status for Nigerian police training institutions and colleges in order to effectively position them for their human capacity development function.
The capital-intensive requirement of policing a complex and increasingly threatened Nigerian population and the overriding national security objective of staying ahead of current and evolving internal security threats. 2. The modernization and reform agenda of the Nigeria Police, which involves the need to enhance the intelligence gathering capacity, operational weaponry, and logistic base of the force in order to situate the Nigeria Police within the context of global best policing practices. 3. The ongoing recruitment, which will significantly increase the manpower profile of the force over the coming years, should also be considered.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has observed the need for the Nigerian Intelligence Agency to intensify efforts in the intelligence gathering and interagency collaboration.
The House also observed the need to intensify more efforts, especially in the intelligence gathering and interagency collaboration, to eliminate disturbing national crimes, especially banditry, insurgency, and kidnapping, whose operations are propelled by information procured, circulated, and mismanaged by undesirable members of the society. The rate of insecurity in our national life has taken international dimension with reported banditry, killings, and border crimes. This ugly trend requires the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, to intensify efforts in response to these challenges prevalent across the West African sub-region.
The committee then went into an executive session to further discuss more on some security matters. Aniete Patrick, TV360, Abuja.
In keeping with its resolve to achieve sustainable peace in the country, the Nigerian military has beefed up security around the Abuja-Kaduna rail routes as well as other spots of interest. Acting Director Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyeko, confirmed this at a media briefing on the operational activities of the Nigerian Armed Forces in the past 2 weeks. Speaking on the fight against criminalities across all theaters of operation in the country, Onyeko explained that the sustained synergy in the land, air and sea operations have yielded significant impact.
Based on credible intelligence of the gathering of Boko Haram terrorist elements in 10 gun trucks about 6 kilometers south of Bama town, 2 NAF platforms were dispatched to that particular location, and they took out all the gun trucks and the occupants of the trucks. Consequently, also, the NAF helicopters are currently on patrol at Abuja-Kaduna railway lines to protect the passengers and the rail tracks. In the course of the operations in the Northeast operations, within the 2 weeks, 31 terrorists were neutralized and 71 of them arrested, including 2 women logistics suppliers, namely Mrs. Aisha Umar, aged 19 years, with a child of 2 years, and Mrs. Kaltumi Bakura, 20 years also, all resident at the IDP camp in Bama town. Also, a total of 122 assorted weapons were recovered. Additionally, a total of 97 kidnapped civilians were rescued, while a total of 1,186 Boko Haram elements and their families, comprising of 226 adult males, 406 adult females, and 555 children were surrendered to own troops at different locations in Borno State.
14 persons have been arrested in connection with the siege on Justice Mary Odili's apartment in Abuja on October the 29th. The Force Public Relations Officer Frank Umba paraded the suspects in Abuja and explained that their arrest followed a swift investigation by the police. Some of the suspects include a fake Chief Superintendent of Police, Lawrence Ojodo, a contributing editor with one of the national dailies, Stanley Iwazema, and an Islamic scholar. The police spokesman added that at least 10 more persons linked with the incident, including 2 military personnel, are still at large. The arrest is the latest in a series of events since some armed men laid siege on Justice Odili's apartment in Maitama in Abuja. To respond to the impact of climate change, governments and the world leaders will need to develop forward-looking policies and programs to preserve their people, economies and ecosystems. This has been the continuous call of activists and world leaders with focus on adaptation and the adverse effects of climate change at the ongoing climate summit in Glasgow, Scotland. Our correspondent Mary Kanu tells us more in this report.
Frequent flooding, food shortages, droughts and increase in clashes over lands between farmers and herders are some of the devastating impacts of climate change. Hence the gathering of world leaders, scientists and activists in Glasgow to demonstrate their support to limit global warming once and for all. But President Muhammadu Buhari at the open plenary of COP26 charged developed countries to match talk with action. He, however, promised that Nigeria will aim to cut carbon emission to net zero by 2060.
Restoration of 100 million hectares of degraded land. B. Sequestration of 250 million tons of carbon. C. Creation of 10 million green jobs. D. Resilient economic development in the various member states. E. Capacity strengthening and development.
Meanwhile, mixed reactions have trailed the president's speech as experts say the projections are not feasible.
Uncontrolled emission of vehicles on Lagos streets, on Nigerian streets. We don't regulate anything for now. So the president has made a very good speech, an ambitious speech, but we should practically put things on ground that will make us to achieve those commitments.
It's a critical time for us. Why wait that long to reach net zero? Why not pick up a closer period, a closer timeline? Even if we don't meet it, then we'll know that we have put in so much energy.
Condemning world leaders for causing the rot witnessed so far, former U.S. President Barack Obama says there is a lot to be done and youths around the world have a huge role to play in preserving the planet.
is that the most important energy in this movement is coming from young people. They have more stake in this fight than anybody else. And that's why my message to young people begins with acknowledging you are right to be frustrated. Folks in my generation have not done enough to deal with a potentially cataclysmic problem that you now stand to inherit.
As deliberations near an end at the summit, environmental experts are of the opinion that COP26 will usher in a new phase and some level of coordination among world leaders to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
I do believe that the young people are coming together and they're going to inspire something that will force change. And if you have the numbers, you cannot manipulate it. And the youth have the numbers.
The risk of loss and damage from climate change is growing. According to the United Nations, Africa loses between $7 and $15 billion a year to effects of climate change, and this could rise to $50 billion a year by 2040 if action is not taken to cut emissions and restore the planet. Mary Kanu, TV360, Nigeria.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. South Africa's last Caucasian president dies after battle with cancer. The details of this story and more right after this break. We're glad to have you back. Now here is a quick recap of some of our top stories tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari has clarified major misconceptions on Nigeria's economic standing, struggle against insecurity and emerging markets. President Buhari made the call while delivering his keynote speech at the Nigeria International Partnership Forum in Paris. He said in light of the country's post-COVID-19 economic growth, Nigeria is the best destination for investment in sub-Saharan Africa. We also told you that 14 persons have been arrested in connection with the siege on Justice Mary Odeli's apartment in Abuja on October the 29th. The force public relations officer Frank Uba paraded the suspects in Abuja and explained that their arrest followed a swift investigation by the police. The police spokesman added that at least 10 more persons linked with the incident, including 2 military personnel, are still at large. But in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Wednesday said 65 new COVID-19 infections have been reported, bringing the total number of positive samples in the country to 212,894. According to the NCDC, the new cases were reported in the 8 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Plateau recorded the highest daily single count with 22 cases, followed by the Federal Capital Territory with 21 infections, with Rivers with 8 cases. The agency further revealed that 322 persons were discharged after recovering from the infection, raising the country's recovered cases to 204,675. The clerk of the Namibia Parliament, Lydia Kandeko, says the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on member states' economic stability and security, amongst other issues, will top the discussion at the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association 51st Annual Conference in Abuja. Kandeko, who said this shortly after presiding over the inaugural meeting of Society of Clerks at the table, added that about 12 countries are expected to send representatives to this year's CPA, where decisions on various issues will be taken. On his part, the clerk to the National Assembly of Nigeria, Ojo Olatunji Amos, said the conference would afford member states the opportunity to cross-pollinate ideas on how to solve pressing issues in their countries.
It was something very new to Namibia. We had to divide the members to sit in different rooms because of the social distancing. It was not very easy, but the members were understanding And we have then decided that in the chamber, only all the parties should be represented in the chamber itself. And other members then went to the different rooms where they could also participate. And it worked out very, very well. The conference is going to discuss the issue of the countries that were hit hard and what are the possible revenue, I mean not revenues, but solutions, that can come up, so that each country can learn from the other country. So each country will tell a story that, other countries are going to take, back to their countries.
Part of the meeting is for us, the clerks, to come together. Then we exchange ideas, we lob ideas, we cross-pollinate our operations, all for improvement and better parliamentary operations.
We'll take a break here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us. Welcome back. Well, up next is business news and stock market review with Abisola Adebayo. Over to you, Bisola.
Thank you very much, Folashade. Welcome to business news. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has appealed to foreign investors to consider Nigeria as their choice investment destination, noting that business confidence in the country is on the rise after recovering from the COVID-19-induced recession. Emefiele says confidence in the Nigerian business environment is growing due to sustained policy, with the overall business confidence index projected at 37.7 index points in November 2021 and 57.6 index points by mid-2022. He further told the international community that the launch of the e-Naira will also improve the conduct of monetary policy in Nigeria, reduce transaction costs, and increase financial inclusion in the medium to long term. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, says the National Identification Number (NIN) will become the foundation of Nigeria's security. Speaking in Paris during the Nigeria International Partnership Forum, Pantami says the federal government intends to establish the country's security foundation on NIN to ensure that the identity of citizens and legal residents who log into the internet is known, while revealing that over 67 million Nigerians had enrolled for NIN. He also added that the identification number has now become a prerequisite to enjoying government services, and so potential investors should have peace of mind doing business in Nigeria. We take a pause here and return with a review of the stock market.
Give him his shoes somewhere here, his phone and everything.
Don't do like that again.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going? Home.
You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body, see?
Huh? You never shake body.
Eh?
Never shake body.
I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Down. What's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country. Welcome back. Nigerian stocks were weaker by 0.36% on Thursday after the benchmark index lost bond with the force of progress that had helped share value up since last week. A couple of stocks dominated by financial services stocks shared part of the weight from recent marginal gains, setting total valuation of stocks on a downward course. The all-share index closed at 43,549 basis points, while market capitalization eased 83 billion naira at the end of today's trade. On the losers table, Coinest and Cortex. Coinest led the losers chart to close at 0 naira 52 kobo. It's closely followed by manufacturing giant Cortex, who recorded a 50 kobo decline in its share price. Moving on to the other table, that's our gainers list for today. Unity Bank and FTN Cocoa topped that counter with a combined 6 kobo gain. Our market summary sees a total volume of 161 million units of shares valued at 2.1 billion naira, exchanging hands in 3,574 deals. Moving on to the global market, that's the FTSE, the Dow Jones, and the Nikkei. The FTSE pushed higher on Thursday as the pound dropped on disappointing GDP data that cast doubts over the post-pandemic recovery. Behind negative returns for shares of Walt Disney and Visa, the Dow Jones stocks is in the negative territory today. Japan stocks, on the other hand, were higher after the close on Thursday as gains in the paper and pulp, railway and bus, and real estate sectors led shares higher. That's all on Stock Market Review. Over to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Abisola, for that update. Now on the foreign scene, former president of South Africa and the last white person to lead the country, Frederick de Klerk, has died at the age of 85. A statement from the former president's foundation announced that he died peacefully at his home in Cape Town following his struggle against cancer. De Klerk, who was also a key figure in the nation's transition to democracy, was the country's head of state between September 1989 and May 1994. In 1990, he announced he was releasing South Africa's first black president, Nelson Mandela, leading to historic elections that brought the anti-apartheid leader to power. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Shortly after the announcement that Big Brother ex-housemate Pere Egbi will now play the character Aminu in the Men's Club series, television star Ayola Ayolola, who is being replaced, has finally reacted to his exit from the fan-favorite web series. The actor, who is currently in the United States, debunked earlier claims that he exited the show without formally notifying the production team, which left them no choice but to find a replacement. On his Instagram handle, Ayolola said that contrary to claims, he did not relocate without the knowledge of the executive producers and producers of the show. Following the brutal online attack over Ayolola's replacement, the show's lead writer, Damilola Elebe, shared a series of tweets suggesting that the actor's travel plan was an attempt to sabotage the hard work of the entire crew. Nollywood actress Tonto Dike has advised prospective admirers to be forewarned as she no longer gifts partners with expensive gift items. The movie star made this known while responding to a post from an admirer. In response, the mother of one declined the admirer's proposal following her past experiences. Recall that the early stage of her relationship with activist Prince Popogri was filled with loved-up photos on social media and exchange of expensive gifts. It didn't take long before cracks began to rear their ugly head, and thereafter the relationship ended in a very messy manner. That's all there is on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment now to sports. Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr says his team is set to take on the Lone Stars of Liberia on Saturday's 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifying match in Tanya. In an interview, Rohr said although 3 players were yet to arrive, he was satisfied with the training pattern of his players in camp. Speaking on the return of Odion Igalo to the team, Rohr said Igalo's experience would help boost the team's morale to win the match.
we could start early. Most of the players arrived on Monday night already, so we could start the training session on Tuesday morning, and it went well. Good training conditions. The weather is wonderful, not too hot for the European players who are coming from the cold weather. Yeah, Igalo wanted to stop after the AFCON. He changed his club, and he also wanted to take a little time with his family. But now the motivation is here for him to come back and to help us, his experience. We have a very young team. We have Musa, who is fortunately still here and a good captain, but we need another one. And his goal scorer qualities and his experience and his professionalism can help the young players, especially in the attack, to be more efficient. Yeah, we respect a lot this team. We saw already in Lagos in second half a good score, and they made a good match. It was not easy to beat them.
I need to wrap on our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Fola Shadi of Green Day. Bye for now.